to another edition of Brownsville As Is with
A for Achana.
S for Sonia.
And yes, we are here in a cotton field. This time of year, farmers are busy getting their crops in. So today we thought it would be fun to take you inside of a working cotton gin.
Yeah, so we're here in the Tibbs community to visit with the Hughes family at Tibbs Gin and Warehouse. Mr. James Hughes, who was a local farmer, bought the Tibbs Gin in the late 1960s.
Now, Mr. James passed away in 2017, so today the gin is run by his daughter, Martha Gay, and her husband, Mike. Now, Mr. James's son, Tommy Hughes, oversees the farm operation.
Yeah, and you know, it was Mr. James that we have to thank for the West Tennessee Cotton Museum at the Delta Heritage Center. He was very generous in that he funded that entire collection, and he let his gin manager at the time, Henry Gompoletti, and his wife, Vicki, put the whole collection together for us in 1998.
Wow. Well, you know, the Hughes family continues to be a very generous family, and they are so gracious today to take out the time during this busy cotton season to talk to us and show us around the gin.
Yeah.
What do you think? I think let's go inside.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on.
Mike and I moved back to Haywood County in 2000, and we became involved in my dad's business in the cotton ginning part of his businesses, and that's when we first became involved.
So to the best of my knowledge, the gin was probably started in the mid-20th century, gone through several ownership hands until Mr. James purchased it outright in probably around 1969-70, right in there. So gins have gotten bigger. The cotton industry has changed so much over the last 30 or 40 years. It's just remarkable what's been done, and the way machinery has replaced the manual labor that used to be associated so much with cotton. So we have a gentleman that still works here that used to go rabbit hunting in between bales that they would be tying out. He worked to tie out the bales, and they would go either rabbit hunting or bird hunting behind the gin, and then they'd blow a horn when the bale was made. So when I first started coming to Tibbs Gin, Mr. James told me they gin 6 bales an hour. Now Mr. James is probably capable of ginning probably at max rate maybe 65, 70 bales an hour at both gins. This plant has 3 gin stands that process the cotton. The other plant has 2 stands that process the cotton. And when I mean gin stand, I'm talking about taking the seed cotton, the raw cotton as it comes out of the field, running it through the gin with some conditioning on the front end, and then we separate the seed from the lint. That's really the heart of the gin, and the purpose really of the gin is to produce a product that the mills can use around the world. Cotton, this gin goes all over the world. It goes to China, it goes to Pakistan, Turkey, Mexico, many places around the globe, and that's the way all the gins are. The market is global, and the world market prefers U.S. cotton.
I started in March of '89, so I've seen a lot of changes since we started. We have come a long way as far as technology and the way we do things. And back in the day, we used to have paper receipts before it went electronic. So when a customer would come and they would gin their cotton, then we would print these receipts, and this was like gold. I mean, this was like money. This is money, basically. And so that's what they had. We would print these receipts, and then they would come get this to take to the ASCS office or, to sell to a cotton buyer. But this was basically like we were printing money. This one was from 1999. So now it's all electronic. It's just it's done automatic. So, and back in the day, we also had grade cards. I know we would get coat boxes in the mail, big coat boxes of grades, and you didn't have a name and didn't have a form number. You just had to go down and find that, and then you would go find this receipt, and it would have the name on there, and you would match it up that way. So that would come from the class. And so all that has become very time efficient. It doesn't take as long as it used to.
Gosh, I think this is my 26th year. Well, I do a lot of things. Take care of all the farmers' records, make sure farm numbers are put in the system. We transfer, pay the farmers, give them their seed checks and their settlement. I work with probably about 40 to 45 farmers here.
Well, I've been involved with cotton ginning since 1987, and I've been working here at Tibbs since February of '04. Yeah, it's all I've ever done since I'm 18 years old. One thing I'll say is the cotton gin, even like back from when it started with like Eli Whitney and the hand crank, the saws, the brushes, it's still basically the same idea. It's just bigger and more efficient. It's huge, but it's all the same idea with the saws, the ribs, the brushes. Same idea, just bigger versions,
When it comes across the scales, we weigh the cotton and we fill out a tag that the truck driver brings to the pad and attaches to one of those 4 rounds. And that tag has the producer's name, the producer's farm number that it came from. Thank you. And we give it a location out here and decide when it's going to be gin.
Set it on the module feeder first, and then it'll go through the disperser head. Just breaks up the round module or the square modules, conventional modules. It'll break it up and go into a separator, an overhead separator, where a single locks it better, drops it into a feeder. When that feeder feeds it into the gin at a variable rate, so we can just control the speed, and it'll go through. The first thing it will do is heat it up a little bit. We'll condition the cotton. We don't try to dry it. We just condition it. And then we'll start. This gin it's got a split overhead. So it'll if we're doing, let's say, 35 bales an hour, we'll cut it in half. It'll just split. And it's a lot easier on the machines. We clean it a lot better that way. And it'll go into the overhead inclines, which takes out all the heavy burrs and bigger sticks, and it single locks it better. And we drop it into a stick machine, then it takes out the burrs, the cotton bolts, all the hulls, the heavy stuff, through the stick machines, and we doff it off of there, and it drops into a vacuum box, where we hit a second stage of drying. And here again, we're just conditioning. We've got to keep it warm. We can't gin cold cotton, so we just try to keep it warm, fluffy, conditioned. And then, we'll keep our heat around, like right now we're ginning about 140 degrees, just something simple, Cotton's really dry these days right now. Anyway, after that we hit the second stage, and then we go through another set of inclines, cleaners, and impact cleaners, which take, we're just trying to clean out all the heavy stuff, because we're moving at a faster speed. So we got 2 stages of cleaning. Then we hit the distributed conveyor, drop it.
I still got the seed in it. And that's where we separate it.
3 161 gin stands here, and they're roughly doing probably 13 bales an hour a piece, you know, max, you know. So consistently, I'd say probably 12, you know, consistently. And that's it. You know, once we get the seed goes to the overhead seed house or a large seed house that we have in the back for storage, and we'll take it out in the wintertime. And we'll go to the lint cleaners, and that's where we take out the finer trash that's in the cotton, the molds, the leaf, and that's where we get the grades from right there, is through the lint cleaners that Kim was talking about. And staple length too, so you know that counts for a lot. And it shoots it over to the press where we bale it up, strap it up, bag it, put it on the dock, and go straight to the warehouse from there.
Well, last year we ginned 86,847 bales. I would say that was on the high end. The most they ever ginned here was a few years back was 99,000. That's almost 100,000 bales, but I would say probably on average, wouldn't you look him, maybe 60,000
Yeah,
over the
I'd say
years. I'd say
average.
60.
An average.
It varies every year depending on the acres planted, of course. My first memory probably was with my grandparents out in the cotton field. My grandmother had the scale by the trailer and she would weigh it, and as a little kid, I'd be up in the trailer playing, and my parents both were out in the field picking cotton by hand with the long cotton sacks, and I guess my grandmother made me a little one time, but those are my first memories actually of picking cotton.
Achana, there are so many people involved in keeping the gin operation going. Big thanks to Gabriel, who gave us the tour of this gin, Tibbs Gin #2. It was really interesting seeing it working. He oversees on an average 60 to 70,000 bales of cotton being produced a year in these gins.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of cotton. That's a lot of cotton.
That's a lot of cotton.
It is.
And one year they said they actually gin 99,000 bales in 1 year.
That's a lot of cotton again.
At one gin.
At one gin, that's right, that's right.
So,
you know, and so many different people working behind the scenes, you know. Benny McBroom is the scales operator. We had a chance to meet with Kim and Teresa
Yes.
in the office at Gin number 1.
Lana Lewis and Debbie Sargent are in the office
That's
here
right.
at Gin number
That's
2.
right. And then Barry Sargent was driving the module truck that we saw earlier. So,
Yeah.
oh, and we can't forget Jay McCage.
The warehouse manager.
That's it, yeah.
And you know, speaking of warehouses, Martha told me that some of the warehouses here will house 10 to 12,000 bales in each warehouse.
You know, there's no telling how many bales of cotton have come out of the gin in its lifetime.
Yeah.
Woo! And still counting.
And still counting.
counting.
So we hope you enjoyed our quick trip through Tibbs Gin.
Well, what do you think? See you next time?
Yeah.
All right.
Bye, y'all.